my channel. It's the Spiritual Enchantress here. I'm going to take you through a quick yoga flow today for twists, and I'm going to go a little bit slower and really focus on form and tightening up everything in the body, really finding length in the spine, engaging the abdominal muscles, and twists are going to be the focus of this video. It is going to be available. I believe beginners could follow this video as well as advanced students and still get a really great workout out of this. It's a nice releasing. Twisting is about wringing out the old and then slurping up the new. So it's kind of has that resonance with me, and I hope that you find that with this video as well. I would advise having blocks and or some sort of prop that you could use in place of a block if you don't have any. If you don't, that's fine, but I would prefer you to have some. And then also yoga straps would be helpful, especially if you have limited flexibility, and you can use scarves or blankets in place of that as well. So if you're ready to flow, let's get started.
We're going to start off in child's pose, so you can bring your knees to either side of the mat and take your chest down to the floor, walking your hands out, bringing your forehead to the mat. I find I like to press into my hands and kind of press back towards the wall behind me. Gets a little bit more length in the spine doing that. Some nice deep breaths in and out of the nose to start here. If this is too much for your hip flexors, you can bring the knees closer together. That might just bring a little bit of flexion in the spine, so just make sure if it hurts, don't do it. Slowly pressing up to hands and knees. We're going to take a few cat-cows, taking your hands directly under your shoulders and your knees directly under your hips, really finding your position here, pressing strongly into the hands. You're going to breathe in as you press the chest towards the wall in front of you, and breathe out as you round the spine up towards the ceiling. Breathe in, pressing the shoulders back, and breathe out, tucking the hips forward and bringing the chin to the chest. Breathe in, nice big breath, and breathe out, rounding the spine here. Breathe in, making sure not to look at the ceiling, just the wall in front of you. And we're going to come up to the top of the mat, putting yourself in a standing position. We're going to find Tadasana, mountain pose. Really firmly plant the weight into all sides of the feet evenly, hip width distance apart. Really engage the leg muscles, the abdominals, lengthen the spine, keep your shoulders down and slightly back. Rotate your hands towards the front and bring your hands all the way up to the ceiling. Taking a few deep breaths in here, really engaging the abdominals, the leg muscles, the arms, the fingers. Every part of the body should be working here. You should feel very, very alive right now. The pelvic floor should be drawn up. And breathe out as you bring the hands down. We're going to go up one more time. Breathe in as you bring the hands up towards the ceiling, and breathe out as you fold over at the hips. We're going to take some nice stretches in the legs here. So bending one knee at a time, straightening the other, feeling that sensation in the back of the legs. You can take hold of the elbows, hanging the top body over while you stretch out the back of the hamstrings. Really making this practice yours. If you have blocks nearby, you can even take the blocks and use them to press into to find length in the spine. Bending one knee and straightening the other. And switching sides. You can really feel the stretch in that one leg that's straightened here. If you can't straighten your leg all the way, no worries. Just straighten it as far as you can to get that sensation. Not pushing, pulling, or jerking the body. And switch sides. Really pulling the abdominals in while you do this as well. Straighten both legs. Keep the spine nice and long. neutral neck, like your head's being pulled to the wall in front of you, and release the top body. Draw the hands up the shins, coming to a flat back as you breathe in. Place the hands down on the mat, step or lightly jump back into plank. Really find your positioning here. Nice abs drawn in, and slowly lower all the way down to the mat as you breathe out. With your hands beside your shoulders, slightly press into the mat, bringing your chest slightly off the mat, breathing in. Tuck the toes under, press up onto your knees, and push up into downward facing dog. Really get the position here. So take a nice wide stance with the hands. Have the fingers spread nice and wide, and really press into the hands. If you don't have your heels all the way down to the mat, that's fine. We just really want a nice long line from your fingers up to your tailbone. Like your tailbone's drawing up to the wall and above you, the ceiling above you. Bending into the back of the knees here. Feel a nice little hamstring stretch. Breathing in and out of the nose. Lifting that right leg up now, high to the ceiling. You can open up the hip and get a nice stretch here. Just make sure that you're keeping the weight evenly distributed in your hands. Shoulders nice and squared. And take a bend in that top knee. And as you breathe out, you're going to crunch that knee to your nose. Breathe in as you extend that leg up high to the sky. Breathe out as you crunch knee to nose. Breathe in, bring that leg up high to the sky. Breathe out, crunch knee to nose. Breathe in, bring that leg up high. Breathe out, knee to nose. Breathe in, leg up high. Breathe out, knee to nose, and tuck that foot forward between the hands. Plant it down nice and firm. Press into that front foot and bring those hands up. Make sure that you bring a scissoring action into the hip muscles here. Pulling up away from the mat and squaring off the hips and then bending into that front knee. You can have a micro bend in the back knee here. You're going to want a nice long spine, not swaying in the back, not hunching forward. You can bring your hands at prayer position to the chest. Reach out in front of you and swing that right arm out behind you for a nice twist. Twisting in the opposite direction of your back leg. Keep a nice long spine. Breathe in as you bring those hands back up to center. Place them down on the ground. Breathe out and press back into plank. Holding plank here for 5 breaths. Really pressing into those hands and release down into chaturanga. Breathe in into up dog and exhale downward facing dog. Again, really getting the position here. Can bend into those back knees if you need to. Bringing that left leg up this time, keeping the shoulders squared, opening up that back hip. Get a nice stretch in that left hip muscle here. Can bend that left leg for an additional stretch. And straighten that leg up. Breathe out as you bring your knee to your nose. And breathe in, extend that leg. Breathe out, knee to nose. Breathe in, extend that left leg up. Breathe out, knee to nose. Breathe in, extend that left leg up. Breathe out, knee to nose. In and extend. Breathe out, knee to nose. And place that foot down between your hands. Firmly plant into the mat. Coming up, lifting your hands all the way up to the sky. Fingers spread wide. Creating that scissoring action again, lifting up away from the mat. And then bending that knee once you have your hips squared off. Really powering into that back foot and into the front foot here. Lengthen the spine. Shoulders down away from the ears, but still strong arms. You can bring your hands to prayer position at the chest. Reach far out in front of you and then swing the left leg back in the opposite direction of the right leg. Nice twist here. The spine should be nice and long. Abs should be pulled up and in. You should really feel this in the pelvic floor and the abdominal muscles. And release back to center. Placing the hands down on either side of the foot. Taking that foot back into plank. We're really holding plank here. Really engaging the abs. No swaying in the back. And releasing down to chaturanga. Inhaling upward dog. And exhaling downward dog. You can always just skip that part if chaturanga is too hard for you. And meet in down dog. Remember to keep the hands nice and wide here, fingers spread wide. Bringing that right foot up, you're going to swing it forward and place that foot between the hands. Coming up into that high lunge once again, remembering to square off the hips and bring that internal fire in the groin. Bring your hands to prayer. Reach forward and twist with prayer hands this time. The left elbow should be grazing the outside of the right knee, and you can use that to kind of anchor yourself in place and really press the hands together here. Nice long line. Don't crane your neck towards the ceiling. Just kind of find that sweet spot where you're working really hard, but there's a little bit of ease in the pose as well. You can open up the arms here if you'd like. Enhance that twist. Coming back to center. Place your hands down on either side of the foot. And bring the left knee down to the ground. Nice to bring your blocks in here to press up. We're not just sagging down into the hips. We're really pressing up, squaring the hips, and then bending into that front knee, just like we were doing before. You can bring your hands up and then bend at the elbows. Find cactus arms here. Really, you should feel this in the abs and the groin the whole time. Really using that to keep yourself in that sweet alignment. Straightening that front leg. You can use your blocks or your spider hands, bringing your hands onto the mat on either side of the foot, or even just placing your hands on your thigh here so that you can get a nice stretch in that right leg with your foot flexed, but still having that length in the spine. Really great stretch here. And keep that front foot active. Don't just let it flop over. We should still be working here. Should still be working to pull that hip bone back into the socket. Really engage that front leg. And bend into that right knee. Taking that knee back into all fours. Spread the knees open and come down to child's pose. Forehead towards the mat. Spine nice and long. Few breaths in and out of the nose. And press yourself back into downward facing dog. Once you have the position, you can take the left leg up this time, nice and high, and swing it forward and place it between your hands, coming up into a high lunge here. Hands are active, arms are up, but your shoulders are down away from the ears. Coming into prayer position at the chest, reach your hands forward and twist to the left. The right elbow should be on the outside of the left knee, really firmly pressing into the hands here to deepen that twist. The back leg should be extremely active, pressing away from you into the mat. Nice bend in that front knee. You can open up the arms here for an additional twist if you'd like. Otherwise, just keep that prayer twist going. And if the prayer twist is too hard, you can always take that easy twist variation that we did to start with. Placing the hands on either side of the foot, you can bring that right knee down to the ground. Press up into the left leg, square the hips, create that scissoring action, and find a length in the spine. Really use your blocks here, or even place your hands on your front thigh if it helps. You can bring the hands up and bend at the elbows, having the cactus arms. The shoulder blades should be coming slightly together as if you're trying to squeeze a pencil between your shoulder blades here. And leaning back, we're going to straighten that left leg this time and flex the left foot and work on pulling the left leg into the hip socket. So there should be like a backwards motion even though you're leaning forward. And that'll create a really nice juicy stretch in the back of the hamstring for you. Your abdominals should be engaged here. Everything should be working. It's not just a stretch where you just flop over and it might look like you're going further into the pose, but trust me, you're working a lot harder if you have everything engaged here. That's why it's helpful to flex that front foot. And once you've been in the position for a little while, you can slowly work at creeping your fingers forward a little bit so you can get a little extra stretch. Bringing that foot back into all fours, opening up the knees slightly and bringing our chest and forehead down towards the ground. Again, for child's pose, take a few restorative breaths and press back up to downward facing dog. As you can see, I'm not the best role model here because my ribs are flared open. Try and not overdo it where you're pushing too far. Step or lightly jump to the top of the mat. Breathe in as you extend all the way up, nice and slowly engaging the muscles all the way up. And breathe out as you bring those hands down to your side. Rotate the arms out and all the way up. Breathing in. And breathe out as you bend the knees and come into chair pose. You can have the feet together here, or it might even feel nice to put a block between your two thighs. Really work at having the heels, the weight of the body into the heels, bending the knees, but instead of letting your butt sag and having a big swoop in your back, try and tilt the pelvis forward slightly. Bring your hands to prayer position, reach out in front of you, and then twist to the right. So the left elbow should be on the outside of the right knee here. Really pressing into the hands will help you get that nice twist. And your hips are going to want to go off kilter here. So work at pulling the one hip that kicks out back into line with the other one. This might mean you're not able to twist quite as far, but at least you'll have that sweet alignment in the hips here. And make sure your knees aren't too far past your toes either. Breathe in, come back to center and straighten the legs. Few breaths. And breathe out as you come back into chair. Find your position here, check your toes. Keep that pelvic floor working. Reach out long in front of you and then twist to the left. So right elbow on the outside of the left knee this time. Once you've twisted, make sure to realign your hips. Make sure one of your knees isn't farther forward than the other one. Really press into the hands. Pull the belly up and in. And really engage in this twist. Really nice. You know it's burning, but you guys are doing so good. And release back to center. And straighten the legs, fold the top body over forwards. Can do nice taps on the back of your legs. Release some of that heat from your legs. We're going to take hands to big toe pose. So if you can't reach your toes, that's fine. You can either bring a bend in the knees or you can use your blocks to prop you up. Really energetically pulling your head towards the mat here using your toes. And as I said before, you can have that bend in the back of the knees or use your blocks. Either one is perfect. Straighten and release the hands from the toes. Breathe into a flat back. Place your hands down, step or lightly jump back into plank. Holding plank here. Really pressing into the hands. We're going to take the left hand to the center of the mat and roll over into side plank. If you need to, you can take the modification of bringing the knee down to the ground as I have here. Otherwise, really press firmly into the whole entire left foot. Press away from your mat and the left hand. Don't sink into the shoulder. Really create a nice long line from one hand to the other. And release back to center. Few breaths, and taking the right hand into the center of the mat, roll over to side plank on the left. Again, you can modify by taking that bottom knee to the mat. Really nice long lines from one fingertip to the other. Really pressing away from the mat. If you'd like to modify and take it further, go for it. Bringing yourself back to center. You can lower down to chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. And exhale, downward dog. Or skip it and meet us in downward dog. Breathing in and out of the nose here. Bringing that right leg high to the sky. Nice juicy stretch. We're going to bend the knee and come over into wild thing. Otherwise, just stay in your three-legged dog. Just really press into the supporting feet and hand. Roll it back to three-legged dog. Bringing that foot back down. And bringing the left leg up this time. Get a nice juicy stretch before you bend into that knee. You can either stay here in three-legged dog or come over into wild thing only if you have it in your practice. Either is perfectly wonderful. Nice juicy stretch here. And release back to three-legged dog and downward facing dog, both feet on the mat. Make sure you're really pressing into those front hands, not overshooting your ribs to your thighs. And bring your right leg up and swing it forward between your hands. Drop the back foot down so it's on about a 45-degree angle, slightly pointed to the front of the mat. And really work at pulling that left hip forwards towards the front of the room, keeping that front knee bent, really engaging the abdominals here, really pressing energetically into both feet. Straighten that front leg. And we're going to bring the right hand down onto the inside of the right leg. It's really helpful here to use a block and really prop yourself up, really pressing away from the floor with the hand here so that you can find a nice long spine from your tailbone to your head. Teeing the arms, bring that left hand up towards the ceiling and really energetically engage the fingers there, and slightly bring your hips forward to the left side of the mat so you're not booty popping behind you. Bringing your hands back up, you're going to reach out in front of you and then bring the right arm back behind you for a nice little twist. Take the arms behind your back and do a nice little stretch here to bring the shoulder blades towards each other. Can lean forward slightly, really pressing into the feet here. Otherwise, just keep your body up. Taking your hands onto either side of the foot, bringing that foot back to plank, lowering down to chaturanga, inhaling upward dog, and exhaling downward facing dog. Really finding your position in down dog again. Lifting that left leg nice and high and sweeping it forward between the hands. Dropping that right foot down to about a 45-degree angle, slightly towards the front of the room. Really find your positioning. You can play around with your stance here, making it wider or skinnier. Have a nice deep bend in that back leg and really suctioning that right hip forward towards the front of the room. You can cactus the arms here. So it's like you're pinching a pencil between your shoulder blades. Straighten that front leg. Bring those arms up and forward. You're going to bring that left hand down on the inside of the left leg this time. You can use a block if you'd like. Really reach forward to get the length and then use that block. Energetically press away from the floor or the block. And if you can't, even if that block's too low, you can take the hand on the inside of the left thigh as well. Just really finding length here. Nice T in the arms and pressing the pelvis slightly towards the right side of the mat so that you're not booty popping to the wall behind you. Really pressing into the feet here. Everything should be activated in this pose. Really strong pose here. Breathing in and out of the nose. Coming back to center, keeping the legs as they are. Swing the arms behind you, clasping them behind the back, and really pull away from your body. So this should get a really nice juicy stretch in the shoulder blades here. Shoulders shouldn't be crunched up by your ears, but pulling away from you. And you can lean forward as you press firmly into both feet if you'd like. Taking a bend in that front leg and hands on either side of the foot, bringing that foot back to plank. Really finding your plank position here. We're going to do knee to elbow, but on the opposite knee to opposite elbow. So that's 2 so far. 3, 4. Nice and slow here. Don't be just giving her. Try and think about form. I'd prefer you do less than swing your body around wildly in this position. Focus on keeping your abs really engaged, keeping those hips squared until you're twisting for that knee to elbow position. Breathing in and out of the nose and really firmly pressing away from the mat here. You've got this. Know it's hard. And good. We can press down into down dog. Woo! You did it. Few restorative breaths. In and out of the nose. Good job, yogis. Remember, when we're in this position for long, you can play around with form. Taking the right leg up and swinging it between the hands. We're going to come up into Warrior 2 this time. Dropping that back foot down, swinging those arms up into a nice T position with your left arm behind you and your right arm in front of you. Really reaching towards the front of the room, bring that right hand on the inside of the right foot. We can use a block here as well. Work on tilting your pelvis towards the left side of the mat and nice long arms. Then press into that front leg and bring that left hand to the back thigh here. Really nice side body stretch here. Bringing that right hand down to the inside of the right foot again. Keeping the legs active here, really pressing into both of the feet. Nice long arms. And coming into reverse warrior again with the left hand on the back of the left leg. Bringing those hands to the front of the mat on either side of that foot. Scooch that left foot in and square the hips to the front of the room. Your feet should be about hip width distance apart with your both feet facing the front of the mat. Triangle pose. Now we're going to take a twisted triangle pose. So we're going to take the left hand on the inside of the right foot. It's really helpful to use a block here to get the length you need to open all the way up so that your right hand can go towards the ceiling. Nice long lines here. Engaging the muscles in the groin, the abs, stomach, everything. Releasing, bringing your feet back into plank position. Lowering down to chaturanga. Inhaling upward dog and exhaling downward facing dog. Good job. Swinging that right or left leg up, and bringing it to the top of the mat. Dropping that right foot down to that 45-degree angle and windmilling the arms open into warrior two. Really pressing into both feet here. Pressing away from the mat. Keeping a nice bend in that front knee. Nice long spine. Reaching forward with the left hand and bringing it onto the inside of the left foot. Really pressing into the mat here. Nice long line from the floor to the top hand. And can bring that left hand up to the sky, right hand to the back of the right leg for a reverse warrior. And swinging back down into side angle pose. Keeping the legs engaged, keeping the back engaged, the arm engaged. And coming back up into reverse warrior. Right hand taking the back of the right thigh. Really nice side body stretch on the left side here. Keeping a bend in that front knee. And swinging the hands on either side of the feet. Swinging that back foot in about a foot for triangle pose here. And reverse triangle, twisted triangle. Forgive me. We're going to use our block if we can, and really press onto the inside of the left foot with your right hand. Nice long lines from fingertip to fingertip. Really engage the abs, really engage the feet, pushing away from the mat here. Good job. This is hard work. Just because it looks easy doesn't mean it is. Good job. And releasing the hands down now. Taking that foot back into plank. Lowering the knees to the ground. And pushing back into a child's pose. Take some deep cleansing breaths in and out of the nose here. You can even have your knees together here. It's a nice flexion in the spine, hands far out in front of you. Again, that little trick, pushing into the hands, pushing back in space, can help get a nice little stretch in the spine here. Slowly pushing up to all fours. We're going to lower ourselves down onto our bellies and get prepared for locust pose. So you're going to bring your hands on either side of your legs, facing the palms down and bringing the chest and thighs up off the ground. Really pressing the feet together and away from you and pressing the chest up and away from you. The shoulders should come together on the back and release. If you need to pause the video to look and then try it yourself, go for it. A few deep cleansing breaths. Getting ready to go up once more. Remember, we're going to lift our chest and our feet up at the same time. And go up into locust again. You can even clasp the hands behind the back if you'd like for an additional stretch here. Really pressing your feet up and away from you and your chest up and away from the mat. It should create like an upside down U shape here. And release. Taking your ear to the mat. Nice deep breaths in and out of the nose. We're going to get it ready to go up again. So if you'd like to take locust, perfect. Otherwise, we're going to take bow pose. So you're going to take the ankles and press the feet together and then pull up. Really pressing the thighs down into the mat, pulling back with the feet. Should take your chest away from the mat. And release. Nice deep cleansing breaths here. Again, if any of that is confusing for you, you have the ability to pause and watch a few times and try this out in your own body, what feels right for you. If it is too much and it is causing pain, don't do it. All right, coming back up onto all fours. We're going to take puppy pose. So walking the hands out, bringing the chest down onto the ground, but keeping the bottom legs the same. Really good. Pressing back up. We're going to take our left arm and thread it underneath the right one. And then place our weight back down. You can lie on the side of your left ear. Should be a nice, juicy shoulder stretch for you. This one's one of my favorites. Thread the needle, it's called. Pressing into the right hand, lifting that left leg or arm back up. We're going to thread the right arm underneath the left this time, lying on our right ear and letting go so we can have that pressure on that shoulder blade and get that nice juicy stretch on the shoulder blade and the outside of the top bicep. Really good. Pressing into that left hand, coming back up to all fours. We're going to go around onto our butts now. We're going to come into Navasana, boat pose. So really plant your hips squarely on the ground. Bring your feet up so they're about chest height. And really keep a nice long line in the spine here. So if you can bring the feet up into that V without losing that length in the spine, great. If not, you can always take your hands behind your hips as a nice support option as well. Now we're going to lengthen all the way down, almost all the way down to the ground, I should say, and then crunch back up to boat. And lengthen all the way down, and crunch up to boat. Lengthen. And crunch, lengthen, and crunch, lengthen, and crunch. And as I said before, it's not about speed, it's about form. So if you're taking this a little slower, so you can keep that nice controlled movement, nice abdominal engagement, then that is perfectly fine. This is not a race. It's not a race. All right. Now, you're going to really slowly, really slowly, bring your back all the way down onto the mat, one vertebrae at a time. There. It should have taken you that long. Awesome. We're going to get ready for bridge. So you're going to take your heel bones directly underneath your sits bones. Press your upper back into the mat firmly, bringing the arms nice and tight next to your body. And then slowly lift those hips up away from the mat. You can keep the hands down on the mat, or you can walk the shoulders underneath the body and clasp the hands for a little bit more room to really press away from the mat here. In either option, do not move the head side to side. Just leave it directly centered. And release back down to the mat. If you found that was a little bit much for you, you can always place a block underneath your hip bones. Otherwise, I like to put it between my thighs so I can really squeeze the block as I go up, and that'll prevent your legs from splaying open in external rotation. So pressing back up to bridge this time, or you can put hips on a block. You can walk those hands underneath and clasp hold of them. Really press away from the floor. Again, take the option that works for you. And release. I would like you to take bridge again if that is what is in your practice, or a supported bridge. Only take wheel if you have this in your practice. It is very hard, and I don't want you to hurt yourself if there's no one there to help you. If you have wheel, please take wheel now. Otherwise, lift up into bridge once more, really working on squeezing that block. Lift, lift, lift those hips, and release really slowly back down to the mat. Good job. I'm going to take happy baby pose, nice counter stretch here. So make sure to really press the tailbone and the lower back down onto the mat. Take hold of the outsides of your feet and really pull your knees down towards the mat, but not so much that you're lifting that tailbone away from the mat. You should have that firmly pressed towards the mat. Should be a nice resistance in the foot here. And if this is too much, you can take your feet together and just hold your ankles. Breathing in and out of the nose and releasing the feet down onto the mat. Rock yourself up to seated. We're going to take our left leg straight out. Bring our right foot onto the inside of the left thigh. If it doesn't touch, that's fine. You can even place a block between the two. Lengthen the arms up, straighten the back, and come down to touch the toes. If you do not have that in your practice, you can either just walk your hands down on your thigh, or I would really suggest the yoga strap or scarf here, where you wrap it around the foot and hold on to either side of it so you can really pull back in space. I could fold forward more, but what I was working on here was holding my foot and pulling my shoulder blades back towards each other. So there's a nice engagement of the arms here. Now opening up the hip, we're going to take a side stretch. So you're going to open up that hip a little bit and bring the right arm overhead towards the foot. Now, you're going to want it to be like your chest and your back are sandwiched between a piece of glass. So you could take your foot like that, I just did, but you're going to feel more of a stretch in the side body by keeping your body as if it's sandwiched between two pieces of glass, and take the arm up overhead rather than just reaching forwards in space. Awesome. Release. Other side. I'm sorry, I lied. We're taking our feet together here. Bring them in towards the groin and straighten your spine out nice and long and fold forward. Keep that belly tucked up and in, and keep a nice long spine here. It's not about how far you can fold forward. It's about keeping that nice engagement and that length in the spine. It should be like there's a string in the top of your head and someone's tugging on the string. So you got a nice long line from your tailbone all the way to the tip of your head. That doesn't mean you have to fold forward. You can be completely upright doing this. Now the other side. So we're going to take the right leg out straight. Bring the left foot onto the inside of the right thigh. Flex that extended that extended foot. Bring the arms out nice and long and reach for the toes, keeping that length in the spine. If you'd like to use a strap or a scarf here, that is perfect. And remember, pull back in space. So if you're holding onto the scarf or your foot, you're bringing your shoulder blades, or your arms back into the shoulder sockets, like you're trying to squeeze that pencil. And if you don't have anything to grab onto, you can just place your hands on your thigh and remember to keep that length in the spine and keep the belly pulled up and in. Awesome. And release. Now opening up those hips a little, we're going to do that side stretch on this side. Remembering sandwich that body between two panes of glass. Bring that left arm up and over. Really nice side body stretch here. You can even use blocks to help prop up that bottom arm or that bottom hand if the range of mobility isn't quite as much where you can reach the toe. And there's no shame in that. Whatever you have to do to get that nice length and that nice juicy side body stretch. Perfect. And release. We're going to take frog pose now. You can either roll up the sides of your mats for a little bit of extra cushioning under your knees or use blankets, pillows. I like to use my blocks. They're just a little bit more squishy than the floor. You're going to take your knees onto the blocks or the whatever padding you've created for yourself. Your shin bone should be directly out behind the knee. Your feet should be flexed. And then you can come down onto your arms. Sorry, I'm lost for words there. And press slightly back in space. So you're going to press into the arms or your hands. So you're bringing your tailbone back towards your heels here. Nothing intense. If there's any strain or pain here, then ease out of the pose a little and don't push so hard. But so that you're not just slumping over in the front body, that's just a little energetic engagement into the hands or the arms backwards. Keeping those feet flexed. Really good job. We're going to get ready to come out of this pose, but don't just fling yourself out of this pose. Really slowly come up onto the hands. Bring the feet towards each other. Slowly lift the knees off the blocks and come back to center. Really want to come out of that one nice and slow. We're going to come down onto our back. We're going to get ready for a nice leg stretch here. So I would suggest grabbing your straps or scarf if you have one. We're going to take our hand and grab the right foot, or you can use your scarf to get that length that you need so that you can keep your shoulder blades down on the floor. Bring that hip down towards the right side of your mat. And then bring it directly up. Nice scissor here. Could be nice to take hold with the opposite arm, the left arm. Otherwise, just use your scarf here or your strap. And release. We're going to take the left leg up now. So what you would do is you'd loop that strap around the foot and hold on to the strap, only pulling your foot as far forward as you can without bringing a bend in the knee, and that would be your limit. Play within it. Listen to your body. If it hurts, don't do it. And if you have to bring your shoulder blades up off the ground, then you're going too far. Definitely use the strap. She says as her shoulder blades off the ground. It's sometimes hard to tell unless you're looking at yourself by video, some of the things you're doing wrong. And release. We're going to take a supine twist to the left. So bring your right knee in and drop it over to the left side. You can look over to the right. Only bring that knee as far down as you can without lifting the opposite shoulder blade. So if you need to stack a block underneath your knee or a blanket or whatever, then that's fine too. Breathing in and out of the nose here. This is definitely one of my favorite parts of the practice, so relaxing. Bring that knee back to center, switch legs, bring the left leg in, right leg should stand out below you, and drop that left knee over to the right, gazing over to the left. Same rules apply. The shoulder should be down on the ground. If there's a gap between your knee and the floor, you can always pad it with a blanket, a pillow, blocks, whatever you have are lying around. So you can really just relax in this position. Coming back to center. Gonna spread both legs out nice and wide on either side of the mat. Let your feet drop open. Open your arms nice and wide. Let your hands drop open. Really release all the tension in your muscles. Feel the energy flowing through your body, the rewards of the work you've put in. Breathing in and out of the nose here, really soaking up that nice energy that was created during this practice. You released some of the old, soaked up some of the new. It's a really beautiful practice to let go of what is not serving us, to make room for what does serve us in the here and now. My beautiful yogis, I hope you enjoyed this practice. Please feel free to pause and lie in Shavasana for as long as you wish. It truly is the best part of the whole practice. Otherwise, please like this video if you liked it. Please share with anyone you feel would have value from this video. Comment below with any suggestions for future videos or any takeaways or aha moments that you had during this practice. If you need help with modifications, that would be the place to let me know, and I'll be sure to respond to you as soon as possible. Other than that, I hope you have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day, and that in doing this practice, you made room for some really beautiful things to come in and light up your life. You can roll over to your right side and push yourself up to seated. Come into a nice cross-legged position. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, beautiful people. Goodbye.